Hello everybody, my name is SkipperDog65. Welcome to this very special episode of FNAF Theory. Let me just say, you guys are amazing. I mean, honestly, 70 views on the Bite of 87 video? When I was making that video, I really did doubt that many people would even watch it. Luckily, you guys have proven me so very wrong. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get to FNAF. But before we can get into the timeline, I need to elaborate my point in the last episode if it wasn't clear. So, if you didn't understand the video, here's your chance. The reason why I say I was wrong is because I did not take into account the Fredbear dolls, and I said that this was the only reason why this was the Bite of 87. What Fredbear dolls, you ask? Silly. The dolls shown in the 8-bit minigame following your every move. Turns out they're outfitted with video cameras that are supposed to track the whereabouts of Afton's son. Basically, the plushies feed video down into 3 monitors within a secret office inside Sister Location. The password to activate these 3 monitors is 1983 as previously discussed. Presumably the year his son was bitten. However, as we can see, the Fredbear dolls are watching him before he is bitten, disproving the password is when he was bitten, which now doesn't sound like that great of an idea, because if the son was already being watched before the Bite of 87, why would the password be? Okay, I'm getting off topic here. Today will consist of puppets, a dead daughter, child abandonment, switched out animatronics, not so accidental spring-lock failures, and planned child slaughter. So yeah, today's episode is going to be a real positive one. I'll go ahead and place Fredbear's Family Diner first in the timeline because it was confirmed by Phone Guy in FNAF 2 to be the first location.
We're going to try to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that. It was closed for years, though. I doubt we'll be able to track anybody down.
Also said at the start is the puppet minigame from FNAF 2. This important minigame shows a one-room, street-facing restaurant. On a more important note, the restaurant features only one animatronic, Fredbear. Now that we've established Fredbear's Family Diner and the first child's death as the base of our timeline, let's start with FNAF's sister location. This 4-hour experience actually needs to be cut into little pieces, or else what I'm about to say will make about as much sense as the neighbor's house plan in Hello Neighbor. I mean, what is that? I got it, it's a cloud. I'm not talking about the events we play through as William Afton. Confirmed by Hand Unit on night 1, when we start working there, the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has already shut its doors.
Due to the massive success, and even more so the unfortunate closing of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, it was clear that the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment.
But Skipper, he said that they started doing business after Freddy Fazbear's closed. But then remember that Afton created these monstrosities of death and is the co-owner of Fazbear Entertainment. Why is that important? It's important because as co-CEO, Afton can demo these things whenever he chooses. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where my sister location theory comes in. Afton demos his creation. However, he chooses the party at which his daughter is in attendance. What occurs is a tragic incident that is depicted by several audio cutscenes. This is where Afton's daughter begs her father to let her go see the animatronic being demoed.
Daddy, why won't you let me play with her? Daddy, you let the other children go see her. Why won't you let me go?
After several no's from her father, Afton's daughter disobeys him and goes to see the animatronic.
Daddy isn't watching. Don't tell Daddy that I'm here. I wanted to watch your show too. I don't know why he won't let me come see you. You're wonderful. Where did the other children go?
This gets Afton's daughter killed, and that explains why the room in the crying child's house is empty. This incident, or more accurately, the result of it, is what we are met with when we first open up Sister Location.
There's no doubting what you've achieved on a technical level. There are just certain design choices that were made for these robots that we don't fully understand. We were hoping that you could shed some light on those.
She can dance. She can sing. She's equipped with a built-in helium tank for inflating balloons right at her fingertips. She can take song requests. She can even dispense ice cream.
With all due respect, those aren't the design choices we were curious about, Mr. Afton.
a man, presumably a police officer, questioning Afton, concerned about the fun-time animatronics designs, specifically babies. Following Sister Location, the prequel, that's what I'm calling it, is FNAF 4. We find the crying child having vivid nightmares of horrible-looking animatronics each night. But hey, at least he didn't have nightmares of these animatronics. Ugh. Anyway, why Crying Child has those constant tears streaming down his face throughout the day has always puzzled me since FNAF 4 was released all the way back in 2015. Was it out of fear? Maybe. Or heck, maybe it was because his strawberry milk was all the way out of reach. That would actually explain a lot. No, I have a better answer. Crying Child's tears may not be purely out of fear, but also out of grievance. Grievance for his sister, who, according to how much we see of her, looks to be around the same age as him. These two, being the youngest out of their family, probably had a strong bond, most likely forged through the torment that their older brother put them through. But that was before the incident, before the crying child was left alone without a person who cared about him. I say not purely out of fear because the fear is there. On several occasions, Crying Child is shown to hate it at the restaurant, whether through text or just how he acts. But why? He has seen Spring Bonnie kidnapping children. Shortly later, he sees his father, William Afton, taking children to the back room, stuffing them into the spare suits, or putting them inside Spring Bonnie and snapping the locks on them. Most likely due to his son's strange behavior around him, Afton catches on pretty soon that he's been found out. That's why he has the little plush Fredbears hidden all around the house in town. That even explains why the plush Fredbear is holding a switch control in Sister Location. They're security cameras, meant to keep track of his son. That's even why they talk to him. Look at the remote that plush Fredbear is holding in the secret office. I believe that this is what Afton uses to speak to his son and guide him away from certain places. But why would Afton watch him if he wasn't going to do anything about it? Well, he does. And this is where things take an extremely dark turn. So if you don't think you can handle it, click away now, because this stuff is dark. Even for Five Nights at Freddy's. Still there? Okay. Everyone knows what happens at the end of FNAF 4. The crying child is taken by the bullies and shoved into the mouth of the Fredbear by his older brother. But what happens is extremely strange. The mouth of the animatronic bear slams down onto the crying child, causing incredible damage to his frontal lobe, sending him to the hospital where he stays until he dies of his injuries in his hospital bed. The reason why I call this extremely strange is because there's absolutely no reason why the animatronic should be able to crush the child. The spring locks couldn't have been responsible because there are none in the head and jaw area.
Turning the crank will recoil and compress the animatronic parts around the sides of the suit, providing room to climb inside.
Plus, the spring locks aren't even in use when the crying child is shoved into the mouth. From what is visible, we can tell that Fredbear is already in robot mode. There is no way for this animatronic bear to injure him. Or is there? As MatPat discovered in his last FNAF video, the bite force of the Fredbear animatronic was way overkill for a robot whose sole purpose was to entertain children.
So, using the power of math, we can use this figure to determine how much force each tooth is biting down with. And that number is 14,758 newtons. That's the strength that a full-grown crocodile bites with. It's almost the strength of a great white shark bite.
And if you watched that video, which most of you probably did, you might come to the conclusion that the animatronic has always been that way. But that, my friends, is where you would be wrong. Notice these two animatronics, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie from FNAF 4, then compare them to their Fredbear and Spring Bonnie counterparts from the Stage 01 minigame from FNAF 3. Different, you might say. While the Fredbears don't have many difference other than their two different sets of hat/bow ties, notice that a person is looking through the mouth of the Fredbear in FNAF 4. Then, look at the Stage 01 minigame. The person is looking through the eyes instead. These two obviously were built differently as to where the person is supposed to look through. That right there is enough to consider these as two different suits. Unlike the bears, the animatronic rabbits are very, very different. The old Spring Bonnie is greenish yellow with a more circular head, while the new one is the same gold color as Fredbear and has a face that resembles Toy Bonnie's from FNAF 2. But why aren't the original suits on stage? Well, Bone Guy tells us in FNAF 3.
There's been a slight change of company policy concerning use of the suit. Don't. After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suit temporarily unfit for employees. Safety is top priority at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is why the classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location while being looked at by our technicians. Until replacements arrive, you will be expected to wear the temporary costumes provided to you. We in mind that they were found on very short notice, so questions about appropriateness/relevance should be deflected. I repeat, the classic suits are not to be touched, activated, or worn. That being said, we are free of liability. Do as you wish.
So yes, in Phone Guy's own words, these suits are temporary replacements, only there to fill in while proper replacements are being built. I propose that Afton set off the spring locks of 2 performers, killing them in the process because he knew that the company would decommission the classic springlock suits if an incident such as this took place, and he could lend them replacements for his son's birthday party. Then, he would suggest to the older brother to prank his brother by putting him inside Fredbear's mouth. When the moment was right, he would activate a mechanism inside of the robot and he would crush the crying child in its jaws, eliminating any possibility that the crying child would go to the authorities telling them of what he had seen. That little tiny part about found on very short notice, so questions about appropriateness/relevance should be deflected, is there to cryptically explain why the new Fredbear has such an overkill bite. Scott knew that if a regular non-haunted animatronic was going to be able to crush a child's skull, it couldn't be an animatronic they routinely used. It would have to be one they found on very short notice, one they wouldn't have the time to check for dangers or flaws. But then why is Spring Bonnie still being used in FNAF 4? Wouldn't someone notice? Why yes they would, and did.
Management has also been made aware that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved and would like to remind employees that this costume is not safe to wear under any circumstances.
Then what did they do about it? Most likely, management left it there to be sealed up within the safe room. We know this is most likely what happens, as Phone Guy says.
This is just to inform all employees that due to budget restrictions, the previously mentioned safe rooms are being sealed at most locations, including this one. Work crews will be here most of the day today, constructing a false wall over the old door face. Nothing is being taken out beforehand, so if you left anything inside, then it's your own fault.
Phew. We've covered a lot of ground in this episode, I feel. We've discussed Fredbear's family diner, the birth of the puppet, the death of Afton's daughter, the death of the crying child, his possible transition into Golden Freddy, and the shutdown of the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. I'm sorry to do this to you, but this script is already really long, about 24 pages long, so I'm gonna have to leave you here. But have no fear, I will be back in about 2 weeks to finish the timeline. So as always, thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Please do like, subscribe, comment down below, and I shall see you all later. Bye-bye!